Oh, so good to be back. Haven't talked to Nick Wright in a while. I got jealous of his hair, long flowing hair. It made him look very progressive and cool, so I've been growing my hair out. But this is all I have. So I bring him on, and there's a little envy, a little jealousy, which I know is sad, but he looks such a bon vivant, such a hipster.
Thanks. Yeah, rock on tour. Good to see you, Colin. How are you?
I'm good. So we do something every week called Tomorrow's Headlines Today, and J-Mac loves the Jets. And I said, there are traits in the NFL that are winning traits. And I put the two New York teams up, Giants left and Jets right. Sorry to the radio audience, I'm not going to read them all. But the Giants have a lot of things that, win big. Quarterback in prime, offensive coach, great left tackle, momentum, weaker conference, being dogged by the media, which coaches love to use, and two proven veteran weapons. The Jets don't have, in fact, the Jets have liabilities at some of those. I just think it's so easy to dog the Giants because of Daniel Jones, but he doesn't lose games. He's just got a low ceiling. Welcome to the NFL after about 4 quarterbacks. Your thoughts?
Well, listen, I am not super high on the Giants, but I tend to agree with you because you said today when you were talking about the Jets about some, flashing red lights. They have some massive red flags. And when we talk about the foundational pieces of a football team, you would think you would start with the coach and the offensive line. I think the Jets have a below-average coach, and I know they have a bad offensive line. And then people talk about the Jets' weapons. They have overall, as far as what we know about their weapons, a below-average group for the AFC. Garrett Wilson is excellent. After that, it's a bunch of number 3 receivers, a running back coming off, unfortunately, a torn ACL, and another running back who the whole league loved so much who was available 3 days ago. And you're in the toughest division in the league, and you have the toughest open to the season of any team the first 6 weeks, and you have a quarterback who is coming off the worst year of his career. I could see this going really poorly, and I want to throw because I do know J-Mac is a big Jets fan, and this might cause him some nightmares. Can I just throw you my favorite potential scenario, Colin?
Sure.
It's this, that the Jets that Aaron looks fine, but the Jets are a little disappointing, maybe 9-8.
Yeah.
And Woody Johnson, who once upon a time fired our friend Eric Mangini for winning 9 games with Brett Favre, Woody Johnson fires Robert Saleh. And Aaron Rodgers goes to Woody and says, I'm on the fence about coming back. Remember, last year I was 90% retired. But you know what would guarantee that I come back? Is if the new head coach is my dear friend and the greatest man I've ever met, who's already here, Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah!
A man whose system I'm running. He failed one time. And Aaron, one thing we know about Aaron, he loves Nat Hackett. Loves him. Another thing we know, if the Jets end up falling short of expectations, Saleh, not Rodgers, will be the scapegoat. Another thing we know, Aaron is not afraid to use the threat of retirement to get things he wants.
Yeah.
So I just want J-Mac to be ready for the 2024 New York Jets led by Nat Hackett, because that's coming his way.
So, I said, listen, everything's a conspiracy theory now, and generally people must be bored, but I look at the Niners, I'm like, Purdy's accurate and cheap. Darnold is probably not going to be the franchise guy, but he's had a great camp. And Trey Lance, it doesn't look right. It doesn't seem that complicated to me. What should they do? What should they do with their quarterback situation?
Well, what they should do is maybe complicated. What's not complicated is this, and I don't think it's conspiracy theory. The process for the San Francisco 49ers over the last 3 years regarding Trey Lance has been one of the most ridiculous, unprofessional, disorganized I've ever seen in big-time pro sports. So forget speculation, forget conspiracies. Let's just go through, Colin, what we know, the timeline of it. The San Francisco 49ers, who had recently been to a Super Bowl and had the 12th pick of the upcoming draft, felt We need a difference maker at quarterback. Enough so to trade up 3 first-round picks in one of the deepest drafts of the last decade. Micah Parsons went number 12, the pick they were sitting at. Mac Jones was still available at 12. Justin Fields went 11. All of it. We must go get this one AA player who has a dozen college starts. That's what we're going to do. We know they did that. We then know that after sitting his rookie year, 2 starts, played well in one, poorly in another, and making the NFC Championship game, we know the San Francisco 49ers said, we have seen enough from Trey to lock Jimmy Garoppolo out of the building, try to trade him to Washington. Trey Lance is our unquestioned Week 1 starter. We know that. We then know last year he started Week 1 in a monsoon. Week 2, he broke his leg 3 plays in. So he couldn't even practice the rest of the season. And then by OTAs, Colin, the guy who the last time you saw him was your unquestioned starter, he's your 3rd-string quarterback. Something's messed up with that process. You had Brock Purdy and Trey Lance in camp last year. Trey was your unquestioned starter. Trey couldn't have practiced poorly last season. He had a broken leg. I'm not arguing that Trey Lance is a great player. I am simply stating the fact that, forget top 5 picks, first-round quarterbacks taken, all of them have gotten a bigger opportunity to show if they can or can't play in the last 30 years. You got to go back to Jim Drunkenmiller and Andre Ware to see a guy who got 4 starts and out. And so I think their process has been terrible. And Colin, if the Niners believe, well, we don't need a difference maker at quarterback, we can win with Mr. Irrelevant, so be it. But then who is going to pay the bill for those 3 first-round picks you traded for a position you don't need? That's the part of this that is galling to me. It's not that Trey Lance should start over Brock Purdy. It's that there has been no continuity to their decision-making at the quarterback position.
So I want to throw something at you and transition to the NBA because you're good on this. And so even though I'm throwing you a curveball, it came up this week that Steph Curry was asked, are you the best point guard of all time? Which is a just unwinnable question. You can't. What are you supposed to say, right? And my takeaway is it's impossible with Magic and Curry because they're literally completely different players. Although LeBron and MJ are different, they do have some similarities where they were just athletically just felt better than the rest of the league, even than second player. They just were better. You know, like LeBron was just better than whoever the second guy was, and Michael was better than athletically Barkley or Magic. And they have some similarities. Sure. They're feisty and competitive and elite defenders. But the Magic-Steph thing is virtually impossible because Magic could do more, but what Curry does well literally has changed basketball. And if I was a GM, knowing what I know and I had to pick both, I guess I'd pick Steph now and Magic 20 years ago. Who is the best point ever?
Okay, so this is such a fascinating thing because it is unquestionably, both of these things are true. I believe in my heart, but they seem to be in conflict, and I want to see how they land with you. I believe with 100% certainty the greatest point guard of all time is Magic Johnson.
Right.
I also believe that every time I am doing one of those create the best 5-man roster possible, I pick Steph over Magic. Both are true. Listen, Magic played 12 years before HIV. 9 of those years, he was first, second, or third in MVP voting. 9 of those years, he was first-team All-NBA. 9 of those years, he made an NBA Finals. He has more Finals appearances than Steph, more championships than Steph, more MVPs than Steph, more Finals MVPs than Steph. He has almost double the career assists as Steph, and they're playing the point guard position. He is the greatest point guard ever. Also, if I were building a team, I would pick Steph over Magic. I know. So, yes. I know those two things sound ridiculous, but that's how I feel. Does that make sense at all? Like, given the impact of the three-pointer, and what floor spacing can do, you've got to lean Steph. But because when we're talking about the greatest ever, we have to first go to who accomplished the most.
Yeah.
Then it has to go to Magic.
Yeah.
But so that's where I land on it.
I feel the same way about
track?
I feel the same way about 4th of July. If you asked me, something I'd never want my kids to do is be around explosives. But then if you ask me my favorite holiday, it would be like being with my kids on 4th of July. Wait a minute.
4th of July.
Right. Explosives,
course,
dangerous. And I'm like, yeah, that's the one I'd want to be with my kids with on a boat with explosives. So my point being is it does make sense. We're all hypocrites. I feel like this. If I selected an all-time team and it had Bird and it had LeBron and it had Jordan, I wouldn't want to take shots away, so I'd choose Magic. But if I wanted to play and win a basketball game, Steph Curry is the best shooter in the history of the world. And my team, I feel would win.
Right, so that's the thing. So if we are creating the best 5-man team possible, and Michael is your 2, and LeBron is your 3, and then the centers spin the wheels.
Right.
Do you want Shaq? Do you want Akeem? Do you want Kareem? You're gonna have a center. If those 3 spots are locked in, then my point guard, I definitely want Steph because I want shooting, I want all of the stuff. But I also believe Magic's better. And I know we got to go. You said it's an impossible question. I love Steph being on. Like, I prefer honest arrogance rather than false humility. And I mean, it's just like Colin. If someone put you on the spot right now, Colin Cowherd, are you the greatest sports radio guy ever?
Sure.
What are you going to say? Come on.
Well, pretty good.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. There it is.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.